Hello, and welcome to a short presentation of the Mindful Movement program. This presentation is based on research conducted in spring 2021. Research conducted to find a way to help negate aspects caused by the national COVID lockdowns. The research is based on our combined 46 years of experience in the martial arts. Now, you may have seen the Laura Kunsberg interview with Brianna Jay's mother, who was advocating the use of mindfulness. There's nothing new or unique about mindfulness. It's been researched for decades now. But in relation to this, we can really see how mindfulness is being put onto the national agenda. With the COVID-19 pandemic, issues affecting children and young people have significantly increased. The unexpected withdrawal from school, with the associated limitations on social life and outdoor activities, have led to a range of psychological inhibitors, such as increased anxiety and depression, also school refusal, among other aspects. Upon returning to school, aspects such as coordination and cooperation were noticeably delayed. The World Health Organization 2013 reported that 50% of mental health and well-being disorders emerge before a child reaches the age of 14. From this, the World Health Organization have recommended that children and young people should be equipped with strategies to enhance resilience and emotional awareness. Given the exacerbation caused through COVID, never before has it been critical to enhance such resilience and emotional awareness in students. With our collective experience within martial arts, along with our research, we are aware of how martial arts can be transformative to the individual. There has been a lengthy research tradition into the benefits of martial arts training, as can be seen on this slide, with research spanning over 60 years. There are several explanations for the various benefits that may be derived through martial arts training. Research discusses how aggressive impulses are sublimated while also reducing feelings of vulnerability. As a result, there is a reduction in aggression and increased self discipline. Through confronting the self and others, there is a sense of self overcoming, whereby such confrontation can enable the individual to transcend their physical and mental limitations. Consequently, there are a range of benefits that are emancipatory or empowering. Given the range of benefits, Weiser et al. Suggest that martial arts psychology should be added to the list of effective psychotherapeutic practices. While many of the explanations and benefits discuss how martial arts training enhances the sense of self, what actually is the self? The self has been approached through a range of academic disciplines such as sociology, philosophy, psychology, theology, while also acknowledging that the self operates within a socio-cultural context. Consequently, the self is a hypothetical construct that an individual adopts to explain who they are, their place in society, in relation to other individuals' sense of self. However, there is no single theory as to what constitutes the self. Within psychology, there are several models of the self. For example, Carl Rogers' heliotropic approach to self actualization, Carl Jung's archetypes, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, Sigmund Freud's id, ego, and superego, Jerome Bruner's transactional self, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's transcendent self, Ken Wilber's integral theory, Roberto Assagioli's psychosynthesis. To the other extent, psychological reductionists assert that there is no such thing as a self. It's just a bundle of experiences and sensations united through memory to provide an illusion of self. Perhaps the simplest definition of self is that it is like a chameleon, but it is ever changing depending on a range of circumstances. An alternate perspective is that searching for the authentic self is akin to finding a unicorn, but neither the self nor unicorns exist, or that they are ethereal and unknowable in nature. While the self is difficult to define, other constructs such as self esteem and self concept are definable features within psychology. For this reason, our research explored self-esteem through martial arts training. There are many limitations of existing martial art research as summarized here. Primarily, research is conducted with an adult demographic, yet given the World Health Organization and their discussion that there is need to focus on children and young people, we decided to focus on younger students. Secondly, there is a problem with generalization of martial art research given the range of styles, expertise, and research focus. Consequently, there is a need to standardize any approach for further research. Finally, a range of benefits have been researched. Again, in progressing to standardize the research, we have focused on assessing self esteem through established, reliable, and valid measures. Given our range of considerations from previous research, we sought to develop a program that adhered to several principles. But it must be safe to train. It must negate participants being able to apply their skills to other people and thus cause injury. It must be inclusive for all participants. Participants should also feel a sense of progress, but ultimately it must maintain the integrity and principles of the martial arts. To develop this martial arts inspired program for students, we drew on engaging movements from two different styles, Wing Chun Kun and Bagua or Baguazhang. The focus of the program was on performing isolated movements from both styles. Specifically, our program removed two crucial ingredients to make the movements applicable. This was the removal of footwork and the principles of energy use, instead focusing on the integrity of hand positions. We developed a working name called Mindful Movement Program, or the MMP, to negate any link or negative connotations to the martial arts. To provide the participants with a frame of reference, principles were taken from the Wing Chun Ring known as the Jukwan Hun. Given that we are working with young students in a school setting, we optimized use of the PE cupboard, specifically small rings of about 19 centimeters diameter and also marker cones. The exercises were sequenced in order of difficulty to enable all students to engage at some level, and all exercises could be completed either from a sitting or a standing position. These 10 exercises are the Mindful Movement Program. The first 8 exercises are inspired from Wing Chun and the last 2 from Bagua. In terms of our methodology, we adopted an exploratory sequential mixed methodological design, predominantly using quantitative methodology and methods, with less emphasis on qualitative methodology and methods. 2 measures of self-esteem were used: Rosenberg's self-esteem scale and Heatherton and Polivi's state self-esteem scale. Both have been used extensively with children. A quasi-experimental design was used, where one class engaged with the Mindful Movement program, while the other continued to engage with their regular PSHE lessons. The psychometrics were provided to the students prior to the first session and at the culmination of a 4-week course, where there are 2 sessions per week. At the end of the final session, participants were invited to write down their thoughts and feelings about the Mindful Movement program. From conducting an ANCOVA statistical analysis, the results indicated a significant difference between the two groups, with a strong positive correlation between the pre and post intervention scores on both measures for the group engaged with the Mindful Movement program. Consequently, engagement with the mindful movement program not only appears to stabilize self esteem, but actually enhances self esteem. From a qualitative data collection of 70 written comments, the comments were both independently open and axial coded by both researchers. We then compared our codes and quantified the responses as indicated here. From a qualitative analysis, we also produced a word cloud. Now, what is striking about the word cloud are the parallels to two different concepts within psychology. The first one relates to the concepts of Csikszentmihalyi's notion of flow. If you look at the word cloud and the conditions, characteristics, and outcomes, hopefully you can see the parallels. Another concept, which derives from Abraham Maslow, is a concept of the plateau experience. Again, look at the word cloud, look at the conditions, characteristics, and outcomes. Now, ultimately, both flow and the plateau experience are correlated to improved self esteem. Thus, the student's qualitative feedback relates back to the quantitative research results. So, where does this leave us? In conclusion, the research indicates that a martial arts inspired program can enhance state and trait self esteem. This not only strengthens research into the psychological benefits of martial arts training, but also proposes a safe way of extending such benefits to younger students. However, this is only a small scale study. A far greater sample would be required with a more longitudinal approach to assess whether the gains in self esteem are maintained. Thank you for listening.